Hello and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Millie and I love any makeup, especially shiny, shifting, sparkly eyeshadows. And today I have some new, exciting multi-chromes from Terra Moons. They're releasing 12 new shades, September 22nd. I will put the time up on the screen. Here they are in all their glory. I did receive these in PR, so thank you so much to Terra Moons for sending me these because I am so excited. I love Terra Moons. I have a bunch of videos up. I did also previously eye swatch their other collection that was released before this one. So in this video, I'm going to show you some swatch comparisons to other multi-chromes because I know you are curious, and I also know that you don't want to buy the same shades over and over again, and I definitely don't want you doing that. And then I will also be swatching them on my eyes so you can see how they look on the eyes. I'm not going to be using a primer. I'm gonna just use my finger, but of course you can use a brush or anything else, silicone applicator, and you're gonna see the textures, and that way you'll also see which ones are a little bit more translucent, which ones seem to have a darker base. And stay tuned for multi-chrome Monday because I will be doing 5 looks with 5 of these shades, so you don't want to miss that. And then at the end of the video, I will kind of go over each shade and my recommendations from these 12 eyeshadows from this launch. Let's roll the swatches. Starting off with Star Sign, I have nothing on my lids. I'm just going to be putting these on with a finger. But you can definitely use some sort of glitter primer. I'm adding another layer just so it's a little bit more opaque, but it is a little sheer. It does feel like it has a little bit of a bigger particle size. And it shifts from a purple to a green, and there's a blue in between. Next up, the Cosmos. This one is definitely chunkier, but if you apply it with a finger, it does kind of smooth out, but it's pretty flaky in the pan. And you can easily pick up too much. And this one just has so much happening. I did apply 2 layers again. And this one is just so magical and so shifty, really easy to see all the shifts. Next up, we have a bunch of green shadows, and they're a little bit similar, so I wanted to kind of compare these on the lids. So putting Space Case. Oh, this is so bright. This reminds me very much of Verte or Big Bang from Terra Moons, and the other one is from Clionadh. The gray base multi-chromes is what this one definitely looks like. And this shifts to a blue and purple. This is so beautiful. Next up, M51, very similar, and this one is extremely smooth. I mean, it just feels like velvet. But you can see this one's a little bit brighter of a green, and this is a little bit more of like a neon, slightly darker green. This one's definitely more of a yellow green, and then you can see there's a purpley shift happening. I don't really see any blue like in the other one. I thought I was recording, but I wasn't. This is Cosmic Dancer. Very smooth, just like the previous shade. And this one has a purpley shift. Next up, Siren. Honestly, from the swatches that I've done from my IG reels, I didn't really see much of shifting happening in this shade. So yeah, I'm not really sure I see much of a shift. In the pan, you can see a lot of different kinds of flecks though. It's just not quite translating. There's definitely dimension though. Next up, Crimson Eclipse. This one is stunning. This one's quite smooth, but very, very sparkly. This one is just so, so beautiful. I love the tones in this one. And this one shifts to an orange, like a peachy orange yellow. Definitely see an orange in there as well. Like a salmon-y kind of orange. I'm not even sure. It's really magical. That's for sure. Going in with Veil Nebula. I was really excited about this one. It reminds me of one of the other shades from their previous collection. This one has just like a lot of flex throughout it as well. This is a more grungy type of shade. Still no black base, but it is darker. Petal Flare. This one's also just so stunning. Really, really unique. When I first saw the shade, I knew this was going to be one of my favorites. And I mean, there's just so much dimension going on. Solar Expansion on this side. This one is on the flakier side, definitely chunky. And I would say it has a bit of a like grayish black base, so you can see it if you blend it. And it does look like a darker type of multichrome, and there's just so many flecks happening. It's so sparkly. I mean, you can just see from that. This is like even more magical. This one is so special. Last two, we have Midnight Winter. This one is really, really interesting. This one reminds me of like Blood Moon, but just obviously purple and green. But this one is very Halloween perfect. This one does have a black base or grayish base, so you can see it kind of coming out when I rub some of the eyeshadow. And this one is just so beautiful, very sparkly. Last one, Dark Energy. This one is very, very smooth. Also has a black base, which is why I kind of saved these for last. And this one is so stunning. However, I did have a little bit of a harder time trying to capture the shift in this when I was doing swatches for my reels. Basically, it's like a midnight blue to purple, but there's also like a lighter blue. So I've already filmed 4 looks, but I definitely think that eye swatching all of these was very helpful to really get a feel for the other shades that I haven't used yet. There are a couple of different textures happening here. We've got some a little bit more flaky shadows, and then we also have some of their like typical super smooth, beautiful, probably my favorite, really, really metallic, really shiny still, and then some shades are a little bit like flaky and sparkly. And if you've been on my channel, you know I don't really love flaky eyeshadows, but I feel like these are to an extent where they can smooth out and they don't accentuate my skin texture, at least not that I noticed. My biggest tip, I think, with any sort of flaky eyeshadow, not just these, instead of going in like right in the center, I recommend actually going in on an angle and using the edge of the pan to swipe, because that way you will get a very smooth finish, versus if you go in like this, you're kind of disturbing the pan, especially when they're really flaky, and you'll just have a bunch of kick up and it will be kind of messy. So I do recommend doing that. That being said, 2 of my favorite shades from these 12 do have that flakier formula, and honestly they're just so beautiful and so unique that I don't really care that they're flaky at all, especially because they don't accentuate my skin texture. They don't feel like weird dry, or they're not like so chunky that they look chunky on the lid, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like there's different levels of flaky eyeshadows, and some of them are just really, really chunky even in the pan. So I have some recommendations written down. Of course, it will be all dependent on the types of colors you like to use on the lid, so don't go by exactly what I'm recommending unless you kind of have a similar taste or you like similar makeup as me. So first up, of course, we have the Cosmos, and this one I thought was going to be a dupe for Lucid Lavender from Touch of Glam Beauty, but it's actually not. It's a bit different, and also the texture is completely different. I would say this one's maybe a little bit more opaque than the Lucid Lavender from Touch of Glam, so I think this one is a great one. Do you need both? No, of course not. I think that's totally up to you if you would like some similar-ish shades. Next up is Solar Expansion. This one is really unique. There's just a lot happening in this pen. I really like this one. It does have slightly like a darker base, so it's not like a jewel type of multichrome, but it is a little bit darker. There's definitely some sort of a like blackish base that does kind of gray out, but I love this one. This one is very grungy and a little bit on the flaky side. And next up we have Crimson Eclipse. Is this the most unique shade? No. However, it's so bright. It's like almost like a neon multichrome, and it's so shiny and very metallic. I just absolutely love this shade. And next up we have Veil Nebula, also really, really unique. I don't know how Terra Moons does it, but I feel like every time I'm just like, I don't have this shade. I can't believe I don't have the shade yet. I have so many multichromes and I don't have the shade. Then we have Tidal Flare, of course. Like, this one is also very, very unique. It's got a very taupey base to it, and it's just so beautiful. I don't have a dupe for that one. And then lastly we have Midnight Winter. This one reminds me of Blood Moon in terms of like, it's so dark, it's almost black, but it's actually like really, really dark purple, and it shifts to green, and it reminds me of like witches. Like, this is such a perfect Halloween multichrome, so that's why I really like that one. It is very, very dark. It's not like jeweled, but it almost is, because it does have that darker base to it, and also it is like a dark purple versus like a mid-tone purple or a light purple. And then some shades that I'm like a little iffy on, I'm just gonna quickly go over. I think really mostly kind of 3 or 4 of these shades. So Siren, I couldn't find a shift in this. I swatched it, I looked at it, and they're all different kinds of lighting, and I just don't see a shift in this one. So I don't really know if I would call this one a true like multichrome. It's maybe a duochrome. And then next up we have Dark Energy. This one is really, really beautiful, but again, the shift is just a little bit more subtle. It is not as subtle as Sirens though. And then the other 2 shades I wanted to just mention is Space Case and M51, and these are very, very similar, especially to what is it called? Big Bang from Terra Moons and Verte from Clionadh. I think these are very, very similar. I would say out of these 2, M51 is a little bit more unique, but I don't think that you need like all of them. I would say pick one of the shades between Space Case and Big Bang and Verte, and M51 also. Like, I feel like you don't need both of these shades per se. And then I really, really do love Cosmic Dancer. I think this one is stunning. And then lastly we have Star Sign, and this one is also really, really beautiful, but it is pretty close to Divina's Confetti Kisses, so that's why I don't have that one in like the top shades that I would recommend, because they're really, really unique. So those are my recommendations. Those are kind of my breakdowns of each shade. I hope that this video was helpful. Make sure you stay tuned for Multichrome Monday. Turn on those notifications, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you subscribe. There's so much indie makeup, lots of multichrome eyeshadow content up already on my channel, and much more to come. You don't want to miss out. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.